The Heartwarming Journey of Bentley. Discover the hidden, life-changing transformation that inspires families to unite against injustice. In the heart of Maplewood, Bentley's life revolved around the laughter of his spirited 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Each summer evening, the air would fill with the aroma of fried chicken and baked pies wafting from neighboring homes. They lived in a cramped but cozy little house, with walls adorned by Lily's crayon drawings and photographs of Travis, Bentley's late wife, casting shadows and memories of days gone by. Bentley, a proud veteran, juggled 2 jobs: the local hardware store during the day and the diner at night. He wore a smile because he knew that, despite the burdens, he was doing everything he could for Lily. Yet, beneath the glow of everyday joys loomed unease. Bills piled high on the kitchen table, silently suffocating their dreams. "Daddy, can we go to the community center this weekend?" Lily's bright eyes lit up like Christmas lights. Bentley's heart sank as he thought of the recent news about the center's impending closure, crushed under the weight of a flashy development project proposed by Mr. Donnelly, a wealthy businessman who didn't understand the life the center provided for its community. His blood boiled at the thought. How could they take away the heart of Maplewood? This place wasn't just a building. It was where kids played, where friends gathered, and where families found hope. Bentley felt a fire igniting within him. He saw the impact on his daughter and their neighbors. They needed to fight for that laughter, that sense of belonging, even if it seemed impossible. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Bentley gathered the neighbors, a mix of faces, some familiar, others mere acquaintances. They formed a pact to save the community center, their voices rising like a chorus of determination. Anxiety welled in Bentley's chest when he learned of a job opening at the local factory that could offer a path out of poverty. It sparkled with promise, but it also meant he'd have to sacrifice time spent with Lily and leave his community behind. As he wrestled with this decision, hope blossomed through Lily's guitar strings at a local fair. Her tiny fingers danced across the fretboard, belting out a heartfelt song that captured the crowd's spirit. For a moment, the weight of the world lifted, smiles breaking across faces, and tears glimmered in weary eyes. The room hummed with a newfound energy and purpose, reminding everyone of the importance of their cherished community center. Just when it seemed Bentley had clarity, a warning message arrived, rattling his resolve. He felt torn between the comfort of security and fighting for his neighbors, for the future he wanted for Lily. As the stakes rose, he realized this wasn't just a fight for a building. It was a chance to mold a legacy of perseverance for his daughter. Would he let the community's heartbeat fade, or could they unite to reclaim their dreams? The answer hung ominously, leaving Bentley questioning which path would finally lead them home. Bentley stood at his kitchen table, the mountain of bills enveloping him like a dark cloud. Each envelope felt like a reminder of all the things he'd yet to provide for Lily. He took a deep breath, trying to push the anxiety down, but the worry clawed back. What if he missed out on the job at the factory? Would it offer them enough to breathe a little easier, to finally feel secure? Yet, what kind of father would he be if he spent all his time working and turned his back on the community that raised him? "Daddy, can we bring cupcakes to the meeting tomorrow?" Lily's innocent voice broke through his thoughts. Bentley turned toward her, her tiny hands clenching a well-loved recipe book. "It's for the fundraiser, right?" "Yes, sweet pea. We can make them together before the meeting," he said, his heart warm at her excitement. Later that evening, as they whisked batter and decorated frosted treats, he watched Lily's face light up with joy. She hummed along to her favorite song while splattering icing everywhere. The laughter echoed through their little home, and Bentley knew that these moments mattered, even amidst the chaos. Overhead, the photographs of Travis seemed to smile, urging Bentley forward. This is our chance to show everyone how much we care about the center. Daddy, Lily exclaimed, her blue eyes radiating hope. Her enthusiasm fueled Bentley as they both prepared for the community meeting. The next evening, he squeezed his daughter's hand while walking into the community center. The air buzzed with anticipation, and a crowd had gathered, faces etched with concern and determination. It was a beautiful sight, neighbors sinking into couches, forming a patchwork of support. Bentley felt the swell of courage rise within him as he spotted Mrs. Henderson, the center's caretaker, organizing chairs while juggling coffee as the meeting commenced. Bentley stood at the front with his heart racing. He scanned the room, absorbing the unity present. Mrs. Henderson began with heartfelt stories of the center, the youth programs, the guidance given to the lost, the connections made over years. Each testimonial added weight to Bentley's resolve. When it was his turn to speak, the weight of their hopes pressed heavily on his shoulders. I've heard a lot of talk about change, he began, his voice steadying with conviction. But what's happening here, the community we've built, is worth fighting for. It's not just about the bricks of this building. It's about our families, our lives. The crowd erupted into applause, a wave of encouragement that wrapped around him. Bentley felt an energy rising. This was not just his fight, but the fight of everyone in Maplewood. After the meeting, Lily ran up to him, her face flushed with excitement. You were amazing, Daddy. We can save our center. But as he embraced her, a flicker of doubt crept back into his mind. What if their voices weren't enough? The next morning, a flyer slipped under his door caught his eye. It announced a public hearing about the development plan, an opportunity to voice their concerns. Bentley's heart raced. This was his chance to rally the community. But part of him wondered if anyone would really listen. As he contemplated the stakes, a small voice interrupted his thoughts. Can we go, Daddy? Can we save our center? He looked into Lily's hopeful face and nodded. Yes, we will. Together we will. But little did Bentley know, that day would bring surprises that would change everything. Bentley woke up to the sound of rain tapping softly against the window. It was a steady rhythm, almost soothing. However, as he stared at the flyer on the table, his thoughts jumbled. Anxiety pulsed within him like the storm outside. Daddy, are we ready? Lily's voice broke through, filled with excitement. She was dressed in her favorite yellow raincoat, her hair bouncing with every movement. Almost, sweet pea, he replied, forcing a smile as he grabbed his keys. Lily's excitement was contagious, yet Bentley's heart weighed heavy with a mix of hope and fear. They pulled up to the community hall, just as the clouds began to part. The sunlight streamed in, casting a golden hue over the gathering crowd. Bentley's eyes scanned the faces, his neighbors, friends, and the silent supporters. He could see the same uncertainty mirrored in their expressions, but each determined smile flickered with the resolve to save their home as they entered. A buzz filled the room. Bentley could hear the lively chatter mixed with serious whispers. The flyers were everywhere, pinned to bulletin boards and tucked into hands. Early arrivals shared their stories of what the center meant to them, the friendships, the lessons learned. It was just as he had anticipated, a heartwarming tapestry of shared moments woven into the fabric of their lives. Daddy, can we sit there? Lily tugged at his hand, pointing to 2 seats near the front. They settled in, and Bentley felt the heat of the moment creeping in. Resolute, he rested his hand gently on Lily's knee. The meeting kicked off with Mrs. Henderson at the helm, her voice steady as she spoke about the importance of community. Bentley felt the air shift when she opened the floor for comments. One by one, the residents rose up to speak, their voices rising higher with each heartfelt plea. Bentley listened intently. There was Mr. Dawson, who spoke of the after-school program that helped his daughter find her passion for art. Then came Mrs. Liu, sharing stories of how the seniors gathered for card games, laughter echoing through the center's halls. Each story felt like a spark that ignited more passion within the room. His own turn was approaching, and the knots in his stomach tightened with each passing speech. What if they don't see it the way we do? He thought, the doubt creeping in again. He glanced at Lily, who was bouncing slightly in her seat, her face filled with joy and unwavering belief. Daddy, you can do it, she whispered, giving his hand a reassuring squeeze. The moment his name was called, Bentley stood, his heart racing. Every footstep felt like a mile, but he kept his gaze on the faces there, each one a reminder of why they were fighting. Community is more than just a place, Bentley began, passion flowing into his words. It's every laugh shared, every tear wiped away, every hand offered in times of need. He took a breath, steadying himself as the crowd leaned in closer, hungry to listen. The Maplewood Center gives us a place to grow, to love, to live. This isn't just about keeping the lights on. It's about keeping our connections strong. The applause erupted, louder than before, energizing Bentley. He felt a wave of courage wash over him. His resolve solidified with each clap and cheer. As he stepped back, a thought crossed his mind, flickering like a candle flame. Would the concerns from the community be enough? Would their stories echo beyond these walls? After the meeting, people gathered around him, sharing their gratitude. Bentley felt the bonds tighten. Yet a shadow remained at the back of his mind. What institutional powers loomed ahead? Later that night, Bentley and Lily returned home, her laughter mingling with the pitter-patter of the rain. As he tucked her into bed, she looked up at him, her innocent curiosity radiating warmth. "Daddy, will we save the center?" "Yes, my love," he replied softly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "We will fight for it." But that night, as Bentley lay awake, his mind churned with possibilities. What if fighting wasn't enough? What if the opposing developers worked harder than they did? Moments later, a sudden thought hit him, startling him wide awake. What about the hidden truths? The stories no one knows? Tomorrow would be critical, but would Bentley be ready to dig deeper than he ever had before? As he closed his eyes, the echoes of their community stirred within him, and uncertainty began to mingle with the hope. The next morning, Bentley woke with a jolt, the rain still drumming a constant rhythm against the roof of the house. He felt the weight of the night's unanswered questions sitting heavy on his chest. Would he really be able to uncover the truths that could turn the tide in their favor? He shook off the doubt, determined to find a way forward. Lily was already up, her energy untouched by the gloomy weather. She was in the kitchen, humming a tune and pouring a bowl of cereal. Bentley smiled at the sight. It was a breath of fresh air amidst the anxiety lingering inside him. "Good morning, sunshine," he said, ruffling her hair playfully. "Morning, Daddy. What's the plan for today?" she chirped, spoon clattering as she bounced on her chair. "Today we might do some digging. Not the kind where we get dirty, but the kind that might bring us some answers," Bentley replied, trying to sound upbeat. Lily's eyes lit up with curiosity. "Like detectives?" "Exactly," he said, sipping his coffee, the warmth firing him up for the day ahead. After breakfast, Bentley grabbed a notepad, a pen, and the stack of flyers. He stepped out into the world that felt more daunting than the morning had promised. The community center was just a few blocks away, but every step felt heavy as he thought of the journey to come. He needed to dig deeper, to speak with those who had stories buried long ago, stories that could ignite their fight against those powerful developers. At the center, Bentley approached Mrs. Henderson, the meeting's host, who busied herself arranging chairs. "Hey, Mrs. Henderson, do you have a moment?" "Of course, Bentley. What's on your mind?" She smiled warmly, wiping her hands on her apron. "I've been thinking, what if we could find more stories? The hidden ones that show how vital this place is to our community," Bentley asked, his voice steadying as he spoke. She considered his words, her brows furrowing slightly in thought. "You might be onto something. There are many in our community with rich histories tied to the center. Have you spoken to the seniors yet? They may have stories that could shake the strongest hearts." "Not yet," Bentley admitted, "but I'd love to set something up. Maybe a gathering? Something that brings them all together to share." Mrs. Henderson nodded excitedly. "That's a fantastic idea. Let us put together an event right here. We can call it Maplewood Memories. This could be exactly what we need to rally the community." As they brainstormed, Bentley felt a flicker of hope building in his chest. What he had initially feared might not be out of reach after all. Later that afternoon, Bentley visited Mr. Collins, a longtime resident and known historian of the community. He found him in his garden, blue hydrangeas blooming vibrantly against the slate sky. As they chatted, Bentley learned about the community center's origins, how it had been a safe haven during tough times, a beacon of light that had guided countless families over the years. People don't realize the weight of this place, Mr. Collins sighed. The stories rooted here are the soil that holds us together. We can't let them take that away. With every conversation, Bentley's purpose grew clearer. Each voice he recorded brought forth energy, resilience, and a fierce commitment to save what they had built. As he drove home, Bentley's mind raced with what he had uncovered. This was no longer just a fight, it was a mission, one that echoed the dreams of those who had come before him. But still, the nagging worry clawed at the edges of his resolve. Would it be enough? When he arrived home, he caught sight of Lily, her small figure framed by the door. "Did you find what you were looking for, Daddy?" she called out, her eyes sparkling with hope. "I found more than I imagined," he replied, a renewed determination welling within him. "But I think we need more stories and we're going to gather them. Can I help? I have a story to share, too." She beamed, her optimism infectious as they settled into the evening. Plans began to take shape. Yet Bentley knew the path ahead would not be easy. What if their efforts fell short? Would their gathered voices be enough to stand against the storm brewing on the horizon? That night, as he tucked Lily in bed, he felt a surge of warmth that came from the realization of their shared fight. Together, they would face whatever came next. But as he lay awake later, staring at the ceiling, a new question flickered in his mind: what other hidden stories might emerge alongside their own? And could those stories change everything? The following day, the air felt electric as Bentley and Lily prepared for the big event. The idea of Maplewood memories had taken hold like a good seed in rich soil, and now they were ready to nurture it. Bentley watched as Lily adorned their simple flyers with glittery stars and hearts. Her enthusiasm was contagious, igniting something deep within him. He hoped that others would feel the same excitement. Once they finished, Bentley and Lily set out toward the community center, a bounce in their steps. The sound of laughter floated through the air as they approached, merging seamlessly with the warm, inviting aroma of freshly baked cookies wafting from the kitchen. Mrs. Henderson was already busy, her hands dusted with flour as she whipped up treats to serve the seniors. "Looks like we're not the only ones excited," Bentley said to Lily, who grinned back at him. They quickly got to work, setting up chairs in a circle and placing boxes of tissues on each seat. Bentley was aware that they were about to open old wounds for many, but it was necessary, he knew this. While the seniors would share memories of joy, forgiveness, and loss, he hoped their tales would create the bond they needed to stand against the looming threat of the developers. Just as everything started taking shape, a shuffling sound drew their attention. Mrs. Henderson appeared, accompanied by a frail but lively woman named Agnes. With silver hair curled tightly and a vibrant red scarf wrapped around her neck, Agnes exuded determination. Whose bright idea was this gathering? She quipped, a twinkle in her eye. "Mine," Bentley said. "I want to hear all the stories that make Maplewood what it is. Stories people need to know." "You may just get more than you bargained for," Agnes replied, a knowing smile forming on her lips as the sun began to dip. More seniors filtered in, each one carrying a piece of Maplewood with them. Bentley's heart raced, mingling excitement with trepidation. Would they be brave enough to share? As the room filled with chatter, he knew they were past the point of no return. After a brief introduction, Bentley opened the floor. The first few stories came slowly, gentle at first. Ms. Hargrove spoke of the summer fairs, the joy and friendship shared over cotton candy and laughter. Mr. Johnson shared a heartbreaking tale of losing his wife the winter before the center opened, how it became his refuge. With every spoken word, he saw the connections deepen, their shared histories weaving an unbreakable bond. Lily listened intently, her eyes wide, absorbing it all. He could see an aching within her that mirrored his own. How many lives had flourished within these walls? How many hopes rested in this community? But not every tale came easily. There was anger, there was fear. A few seniors voiced reservations about the future, worry etching lines on their faces. Bentley encouraged them to speak, to let their voice rise above the noise of uncertainty that loomed outside. It was in this raw honesty that he found the fire he had been searching for. A call to action as stories continued to flow like a river. Little by little, Bentley felt the dark cloud of doubt lifting. They were digging deep into shared experiences, intertwining pain and joy, reminding everyone of the resilience that shaped Maplewood. It was then that Mrs. Henderson stood up, her hands trembling slightly, and spoke up for the first time since the event began. These stories are treasures, and we must preserve them. But what happens when the stories stop? What if we lose this place? The room fell silent, all eyes on Bentley. A chill swept through him as he faced the reality before him. It was one thing to share their histories. It was another, far greater challenge to fight for their future. He could feel the weight of their hopes resting on him, and an unexpected rush of determination surged inside him. "Then we fight," he said, his voice steady, resonating through the gathered crowd. "These stories need to continue, we'll make sure of it." But even as he said the words, a new realization tightened in his chest. While this rallying moment felt powerful, it made him wonder, were they truly ready for what was coming? What would be the cost of this fight? That thought danced on the edge of his mind as he watched the faces around him, each one reflecting a mix of fear and hope. In that moment, Bentley understood that this was just the beginning. A storm was brewing, and their resolve would soon be tested in ways they never imagined. The evening wore on, and as Bentley took in the faces of the seniors around him, he felt an unshakable bond forming. Each story shared was a thread stitching together the fabric of Maplewood. Tales of laughter, grief, and resilience hung in the air like an invisible quilt, wrapping them in warmth and belonging. However, he sensed an urgency nestled within the chatter. An unspoken fear swirled amongst the seniors, a fear that they were racing against the clock. As each minute passed, they were reminded of what was at stake, not just memories but a community that once stood strong. Lily stood beside him, her fingers intertwined with his, adding an unspoken strength to his resolve. She met his gaze, eyes shimmering with commitment. "We can't just share stories, Bentley. We need to organize. We need to act." "Act how?" he replied, unsure where to start. "These stories are important, but how do we turn them into something tangible? Let us hold a rally. Gather everyone. Showcase the very heart of Maplewood," she suggested, her enthusiasm brightening her expression. The notion settled within him, igniting a flurry of possibilities. They could create a plan that would not only honor the past but also forge a path for the future. Bentley could envision it, the community united in a potent display of love for their home, their stories echoing through the town square. "Okay," he said, newfound determination blooming within him. "Let us make it happen." Agnes, who had been silently observing, suddenly interjected, "I'll help organize. The knitting club can make banners. We'll include the names of all those who contributed to Maplewood's history." A round of applause erupted in the small room, and Bentley felt his heart swell at the thought of rallying the community. Support was rippling through him. This was it. Together, they could reclaim their home as they discussed plans. Laughter rang out alongside somber reflections. The conversations flowed seamlessly, a powerful current, each person eager to contribute. The fear that had initially gripped him began to dissipate, washed away by a wave of collective hope. Then, Mr. Johnson spoke up again, this time more confidently. "If we want to save Maplewood, we'll need to reach the town council, get their attention. Talk to them face to face. Show them how important this place is." "Great idea," Bentley agreed, envisioning the town square alive with an electric energy. "We'll share both our laughter and our tears. Let them feel what we feel. It's not just about buildings. It's about lives lived here, stories that matter." The gravity of this moment settled in once more, leaving Bentley acutely aware of their mission. It wasn't solely a fight for a building. It was a battle to protect the intertwined lives, the soul of Maplewood itself. As the meeting continued, Bentley glanced at Lily, who was talking animatedly with Agnes. There was an undeniable spark between them, a shared vision igniting the air. He knew that this journey would not only change the fate of their community, but also forge deeper connections among them all. But the night took a sudden turn when a shadow crossed the doorway, a figure Bentley hadn't expected. One of the developers stood at the entrance, arms crossed, observing them. His expression was unreadable, but the weight of his presence sent a chill through Bentley's spine. What did he want? Was he here to shut them down before they could even start? Bentley felt a surge of anxiety pulsing through him. Why is he here? He thought, uncertain of what this new challenge would bring. As silence fell over the room, everyone turned to face the newcomer. Bentley swallowed hard. Their fight became more immediate, more tangible. And as he locked eyes with the developer, a new sense of urgency surged through him. This was no longer just about memories. It was about a future hanging in the balance. What would the developer say? What would be the next move in this battle they had only just begun? The developer stepped into the room, eyes narrowing as they scanned the gathering of hopeful faces. Bentley's heart raced. The supportive energy in the air shifted, becoming thick with apprehension. This wasn't just a meeting anymore. It was a confrontation. "Good evening," the developer said, his voice cold and clipped. "I see you're all excited about your little plans." He paused, crossing his arms tighter across his chest. "But let us be real. Maplewood is a dying town. It needs new life, not old stories." Gasps rippled through the group. Bentley felt heat rising in his cheeks. How dare he dismiss their history like that? "We are not just stories," Lily replied, stepping forward. "We're a community with a rich past and a vision for the future. You need to see that." Bentley admired her courage, but fear still coiled tightly around him. He wanted to shout back, to defend everything they had discussed, everything Maplewood stood for, but his voice somehow stayed trapped in his throat. "Look," the developer continued, unfazed. "All I'm saying is that the town council has plans that don't involve nostalgia. They want progress. If it means tearing down a few buildings, so be it." He shrugged as if it were nothing more than a business decision, as if lives didn't hang in the balance. The murmurs of outrage rose, voices growing louder as people reacted to the arrogance on display. Bentley saw Agnes's hands tremble as she clutched her knitting tightly. Mr. Johnson's face turned red with indignation. What does progress even mean? Bentley finally blurted out, finding his voice. Does it mean sacrificing our community, our history, our family? The developer looked at him sharply, and for a moment, Bentley thought he detected something vulnerable in the man's gaze. The glimmer vanished as quickly as it appeared. "Progress means benefits, kid," he replied. "People want convenience, entertainment. They don't care about the past. They care about what comes next. You can't fight change." "And we won't," Lily replied. "But we will fight for what makes Maplewood special. We're not just fighting for buildings. We're fighting for a connection, one that brings us together." The developer raised an eyebrow, amusement flickering across his face. "You think a rally and a few banners are going to change anything? Good luck with that." The challenge sat heavy in the air. Bentley felt like a flame flickering in a storm, but with the warmth of his friends surrounding him, he found his footing once more. "No, it's not just about the rally. It's about the people behind those banners, showing everyone what Maplewood truly means. It's about letting the town council see us as more than just empty buildings. We have to be heard." The developer scoffed again, but Bentley could see doubt crossing his features. If they could share their stories, if they could truly work together, maybe they could ignite something within even the most hardened hearts. As the tension hung in the room, Bentley took a deep breath, glancing around at the seniors. He could see their resolve, their hands gripping tightly as hearts united in purpose. "How many people can we gather?" he asked, determination flooding his voice. "We need to show them our strength, our unity." A tentative cheer replaced the silence. Agnes nodded vigorously, her eyes sparkling with hope. "I'll call everyone in the knitting club. We can spread the word. We'll hit social media, create event pages, inform people," yelled another senior, her voice carrying a newfound fire. Lily squeezed his hand, her enthusiastic gaze promising him that they were in this together. As the plans began to swirl around the room, energy surged back into the space. Bentley's heart swelled with resolve. They wouldn't back down. They would rally together against this challenge. But just as he began to feel the momentum build, the developer turned to leave, his gaze lingering for a moment. "You really think this will matter?" he asked, half mocking, half curious. "Watch us," Bentley replied, feeling an electric buzz run through him. "We won't stop fighting for Maplewood." With that, the developer exited, leaving a heavy silence in his wake. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, Bentley felt a spark of hope. Could they truly rally the community? Would the council listen? And what would happen if they failed? The next chapter of their fight loomed ahead, full of fear and courage, and Bentley knew they were just at the beginning. The atmosphere pulsed with energy as Bentley and the others began mapping out their strategy. He could see the determination on each of their faces, ignited by a shared love for their community. Each person had their own story, a tale of victory, loss, perseverance, and they were ready to share it. "Let us meet tomorrow evening at the park," Bentley suggested, his voice rising with excitement. "We'll create signs, write our stories, and plan how to reach more people. We need to show the town council the heart of Maplewood." Cheers erupted. Agnes was already standing, clutching her knitting as though it held all her strength. "I can bake cookies for everyone. Get people there with snacks. Make it a potluck. Everyone can bring something," Lily chimed in, clapping her hands. "We can share our favorite memories about Maplewood, make it personal." As ideas flew around the room, Bentley felt the fear that had gripped him just moments ago dissolve into adrenaline. They weren't just fighting for buildings. They were fighting for the soul of their town. The gathering buzz became a symphony of laughter, stories, and hopes. It was precisely what they needed to step into the light together. Later that night, Bentley found himself lying in bed, mind racing with possibilities. He pictured the rally, how it could spark a deeper connection not only within Maplewood but also with the council. They had to present a united front filled with hope and history. It wasn't just about winning against progress. It was about reclaiming their identity. He imagined their signs. There would be bold letters screaming, "Save Maplewood," and "Our history matters." Each slogan could be a shout from the heart, a rallying cry that would echo in the ears of everyone, even the future council members. The next day was a blur of activity. Bentley helped create posters, watching the faces of the townspeople light up as they came together, hands covered in paint and smiles painted on. It felt almost magical, the connection weaving tighter as each person contributed a piece of their history to the tapestry of their demonstration. As they worked, Bentley overheard snippets of conversations. Agnes recounted how her knitting shop had served as a community hub for decades, where mothers would meet and children would play. Mr. Johnson shared tales of the Maplewood Fall Festival and how it had brought people together for years. Their stories wrapped around him like a warm blanket. He understood now that these weren't just memories. They were their lifelines, strands connecting the community through time. They were armed with something far more potent than banners or slogans. They had love and pride in their history. As dusk settled, the group gathered at the park for the rally. Tables were covered with homemade dishes, and people laughed, shared stories, and tied friendly bonds. Bentley felt the vibrations of laughter ripple through the crowd, and he smiled, knowing they were on the brink of something monumental. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the park in shades of orange and pink, he stepped up to the makeshift podium. Heart racing, he scanned the crowd filled with hope and determination. "Tonight we stand together," he began, his voice ringing clear. "Tonight, we show Maplewood what it truly means to be a community." Before he could finish, a familiar shape emerged from the crowd. The developer stood at the edge, watching them. "Are you really going to make a difference?" he called out. The murmurs quieted. Bentley's heart thudded against his chest. Part of him was terrified, but another part felt something stronger, an unyielding sense of purpose. "Watch us," he shouted back, adrenaline rushing through him. The crowd erupted into a chorus of cheers. They were just getting started, and Bentley realized that the true fight was much more than what lay ahead. It was about standing firm in their beliefs and holding onto the heart of Maplewood. But deep down, doubts lingered. Would the developer's presence shift the tide? Would the council be swayed by their determination? And what if this wasn't enough? As Bentley looked around at his friends, sharing laughter and hope beneath the twilight sky, he knew that they were stronger together. They had to be. The moment of truth was coming, and it would take everything they had to fight for their beloved Maplewood. The park shimmered under the twilight as Bentley faced the crowd. The cheers had settled into an electric hum, a rhythm feeding off every heartbeat in attendance. People were ready, they were hungry for change and willing to share their stories, not just for themselves, but for the town they loved. Bentley cleared his throat. Maplewood isn't just a name. He paused, letting the weight of his words hang in the air. It's a feeling. It's where we laughed together, cried together, and built lives together. His voice grew stronger, fueled by visible nods and murmurs of agreement. Tonight, we remind our town council what that feeling means. A wave of applause washed over him, and he caught Lily's eye. She smiled back at him, her enthusiasm infectious. It was like feeding a flame. Bentley embraced the energy swirling around him. Even the developer, standing at the edge, couldn't block the light of their shared spirit. Together, we can save the very things that make our town special. Let us share our stories tonight, Bentley encouraged. Who wants to speak first? Several hands shot up. Agnes's voice quivered as she bounced to the front. When I was a girl, my mom took me to the same corner shop where I've poured my heart into knitting for years. That place means warmth to everyone. It's where I met lifelong friends. Heavy emotions filled the air, a testimony to memories cherished and traditions honored. Bentley wiped a tear from his eye, moved by the strength of their collective bond. One by one, people began to share their stories. Mr. Johnson, with his tales of celebrating the harvest, and even young Sam, who spoke about the treehouse he built with his father at the park. Each word resonated like a note in a swelling orchestra, lifting their hopes higher and higher. But as heartfelt as it all was, the developer remained an ominous figure, arms crossed, eyebrow raised in skepticism. Bentley felt a knot in his stomach. Was their passion strong enough to shake his resolve? Just then, a low rumble pierced the air. A storm cloud seemed to form over the gathering, the winds picking up tension as they whipped around in anticipation. Bentley cultivated courage. We won't back down from what we believe in. You may think you're in control, but we control our voices. As Bentley shouted these words, aligned emotions surged through the crowd. An unwavering chant broke out, "Save Maplewood! Save Maplewood!" It echoed into the night, relentless and triumphant, drowning out the thumps of uncertainty that beat in his heart. Just when the rally reached a fever pitch, the developer stepped forward, flashlight in hand, cutting through the emotions with stark interruptions. "You really think that a few stories will change anything?" he questioned, a smirk dancing on his face. Silence enveloped them momentarily, like a held breath before a plunge. Bentley sensed the group's collective anxiety, but let it ignite a fire inside him. "You may see our stories as just words," Bentley began, and just when doubt flickered again, he added, "But they're our strength." Agnes shouted from the back, "Don't underestimate the heart of Maplewood." The crowd erupted once more, their voices stronger than before, filling the atmosphere with resolve. But as the energy intensified, Bentley could feel a drop of worry shadowing the corners of his mind. Could this ever be enough? As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon and the first stars shimmered to life, Bentley turned to his friends, the corner of his mouth lifting despite lingering doubts. Their faces, lit with hope, fueled his determination. Even if the valleys ahead were wide and deep, together, they were a path to climb. As Bentley's gaze flickered back to the developer, a new thought sparked. What if they turned this fight into a conversation, sparking something bigger than themselves? A chance to understand the vision behind the development even as they defended their roots. "Tomorrow," he said into the gathering darkness, his heart setting a new pace, "we extend a hand. Let us invite him to truly see Maplewood." The murmurs rolled through the crowd, anticipation whispering promises of what could follow. How would they react to this new challenge? What awaited them just ahead? When the sun rose again, the sunlight streamed through Bentley's window, bathing the room in warmth as he prepared himself for the day ahead. The echoes of last night's rally still buzzed in his spirit. The thought of inviting the developer to see Maplewood for himself sent a mix of excitement and dread racing through him. How could he turn a confrontation into a conversation? Bentley moved around the house, making breakfast as Lily hummed her favorite tune. Her enthusiasm was contagious. It made the heavy weight of uncertainty feel lighter. As he poured her cereal, she suddenly looked up, a serious expression flashing across her face. "Daddy, what if he doesn't listen?" He knelt to her level, cupping her small hands in his. "Then we'll make sure he has no choice. He needs to see how special our community is, how we care about each other." Lily nodded, her determination a reflection of his own. They arrived at the community center, the heart of Maplewood alive with energy. The team had come together, working hand in hand, preparing tables filled with photos and stories from the townsfolk. Bentley cast a glance around the room, each friendly face revealing the poignant connection they all shared. Memories hung in the air like a palpable fog, and he could feel the weight of it as he prepared himself to approach the developer. Later that morning, light footsteps shuffled outside. The developer stood at the door, uncertainty etching lines into his features as he hesitated. "You wanted to see me?" he asked, his voice a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Lily reached out, tugging on Bentley's sleeve, her wide blue eyes radiating hope. He took a deep breath, stepping forward. "Yes. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your time." The warmth in Bentley's voice surprised the developer, who raised an eyebrow but kept his stance neutral. "What do you have planned?" As they walked deeper into the community center, the walls adorned with memories and laughter, Bentley opened a window into the heart of Maplewood. He led the developer to a table where residents had placed photos, letters, and keepsakes. "These are stories that matter," he explained, gesturing animatedly. "Every piece here represents a life intertwined with this community." Agnes joined them, her knitting needles clicking softly. "This place raised us. We've shared our lives within these walls. You can't just take that away." The developer stood in silence, absorbing the impact of their words. Gradually, a change washed over his expression. He picked up a photo of the community fair from years ago, faces beaming with joy and camaraderie. "I didn't realize," he began, trailing off. "We all tend to forget with our sights set on progress," Bentley said gently, but firmly. "This is our progress. A community born from resilience, joy, and connection. What does that mean to you?" Moments of contemplative silence filled the air. Bentley held his breath, hoping this was a pivotal moment. Perhaps they could bridge the gap, inviting collaboration instead of conflict. As they stood there surrounded by memories, Bentley turned to Lily, who grinned at the developer, her tenacity sparking something deep within him. "Will you help us?" she asked innocently. "You can be part of our story, too." The words pierced his defenses. He looked around, the weight of their past hovering as a living testament to who they were. Bentley's heart thudded in solidarity with everyone else present. Finally, the developer nodded slowly, his posture softening. "I'll take your stories to the council. I'll show them what you've shared. But I cannot promise they will change their minds. We're not asking for a guarantee of success, just a chance to be heard," Bentley replied, heart racing with hope. "That's all we can ask for." As the discussion unfolded, something shifted in the atmosphere. They began to exchange ideas, the developer cautiously contemplating ways to blend visions, thinking of how Maplewood's essence could inform future endeavors. With each passing moment, the barrier between them seemed to melt. Afterward, as the developer left, Bentley and Lily shared a knowing glance, their hearts swelling with triumph. "Was that a good sign, Daddy?" Lily asked, her smile bright against the backdrop of uncertainty. "It was a step, sweet pea. One step closer to saving Maplewood." That evening, the community gathered once more, hearts light with newfound optimism. The air was filled with laughter, celebration, and hope each story an anchor amidst the tide of uncertainty. As Bentley looked around, he felt a profound realization settle deep within his heart. They were stronger together. The faces around him, each with their own journey, reminded him why they were fighting. This wasn't just about preserving a physical place. It was about embracing their history and nurturing their community's future. As night fell, a chorus of laughter echoed through the hall, weaving tales of strength and resilience into their shared experience. Bentley took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of his daughter beside him. They had forged a path toward reconciliation, and no matter what lay ahead, they were armed with love, connection, and the unshakable spirit of Maplewood. And in that moment, he knew they would fight on. Now it's your turn. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to share this now. True fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through action. Let us spread the love.